Creating success out of failure. Creating success out of failure.
I'm Jonathan Federa. I'm here to inspire you to hustle and grow your income while doing what you love. Just because you have problems doesn't mean you can't prosper. Just because you have tragedy doesn't mean you can't triumph. Actually, you should be taking advantage of that.
There's positivity in my pain. I took scarcity and turned it into strength. I always tell life, there's not much you can do to me where I won't make an obstacle an opportunity. We never lose, we only learn lessons. If you wanna change your perspective. If you don't know how to do that, we'll show you how right now. This is about to go down. You are tuning in to creating success out of failure. Creating success creating success out of failure. Out of failure.
Everybody, and welcome to Creating Success Out of Failure. Jessica isn't here with us, but I have one of my great friends. We met in Arete. We were actually in Arete for a year together, never connected. And then we connected when we were going to a trip to Mexico, which was amazing. So let me introduce you to Callye Keen, and then he's going to kind of tell you what he does, what he's working on, and you guys are going to learn a lot from him. Callye.
Hey, what's up, brother? So I'll try to keep it corralled because I'm in growth mode, right? I've got a really big project underway, and I'd love to talk about that. But just for some flavor, some background, for the last 20 years, I've been in manufacturing. My family's been in manufacturing, so kind of a boring behind the scenes industry. For the last 15 years, I've developed products for giant companies, high growth startups, entrepreneurs. I've built things in the beauty space, camping space, military space. Things that I've built have been to space. They're on submarines, they're on military bases. So through that experience, I got to ride shotgun with a lot of entrepreneurs, from a clean sheet of paper in my conference room to building multi-million-dollar businesses with them, and even like seeing what that process of high growth looks like and maybe acquisition. So I've gone through, and the reason that I've been able to develop products for those big businesses is because some of my small businesses, they got acquired. So I kind of walked in the back door, so to speak. But I mean, that's the 30 seconds on me. And I really like talking to people about growing their business or adding revenue to their business with physical products.
Absolutely. And I don't say this lightly, easily one of the smartest people I know. And I know a lot of smart motherfuckers. So if you actually get a chance to sit down with him and find out, everything there is about the back end of what he does, it's crazy. So Callye, you've built a couple different businesses.
Yeah.
I see you starting to kind of venture and be in the forefront more on social media. I like actually rolling back because you are a real person when it comes to being open and out there. What are some of the struggles that you have faced and challenges you've overcome with some of these businesses, and kind of walk us through, how you did that?
Well, kind of thematically for the podcast, you got to understand that I've always had a side hustle. I think that's why I identify with so many people that are, our friends. Is like, you name it, I've probably tried it, right? And there's a little saying, it's like, oh, I've succeeded because I failed more than other people. I look at it, I'm like, I have failed my way through many things, but I picked up little gems along the way. So when I sold things on eBay 20 years ago, right, I learned about how to buy things and what kind of margins that I needed, and about the speed of cash, right? It was better to make lower margins if I could turn money faster. Mm-hmm. It's like, that's okay when you're 22 years old to learn that lesson. But today I do that with $1 million inventories. Like, I understand why that works. And I learned that lesson. Or like, I ran a digital marketing company, wasn't massively successful. It was pretty good for a side hustle, but that taught me how to do digital marketing. I built my first website in 1996, right? So I was developing websites professionally in the late 90s and early 2000s. And did I make money on it? Like, not really,
Not what you would
toy
consider.
money. But today, if I need to run a campaign, which we'll talk about in a second, like I just do all that stuff myself, right?
Yeah.
So like there's that piece of it, and everybody want to be successful, but they don't want to go take their lumps, right? They don't want to go through the failures of it. I see that with products, and it's the same thing. It's like I used to be the person that had a million ideas. I have little journals everywhere with a million ideas, and be like, I thought of that. That could have been my idea. I could have had that company. And even though I grew up in manufacturing, it's like connecting what is a good idea and like what's executable, what makes sense with the resources that you have, the network you have, the money you have, the time frame you have, is like that took a while to get there, right?
Yeah.
It took some slow ideas and bad ideas, and so that's kind of like how I got there. The social media thing is like, manufacturing is not the sexy industry, right?
Neither is lending.
Yeah, exactly, right? So creating social media, we just did a live stream on finding manufacturers, and one of the reasons it's so hard to find a great manufacturer is that they're busy making stuff, not websites, right?
Yep.
They don't run Facebook ads. They just quietly make millions of dollars. They're probably right down the street from you. And unless you're a manufacturing nerd like me, you don't know where to look or how to find them or how to talk to them. So I went out and I started to try to talk to entrepreneurs about developing products. And I spoke at I've spoken at a dozen universities. I've started mentoring through state programs. And then I ended up organizing incubators. Then I ran my own startup incubators. And I kind of saw what everybody else was doing, but I realized like to go to that next level, I couldn't be like the guy behind the scenes, right? I had to be the person out front, because people don't even know about the opportunities that they're missing, right? So, really put in a lot of effort to be louder.
Yeah, that makes sense. I mean, you in person, you don't have any issue connecting.
Right.
In person.
Yeah.
And it's tough because I deal with imposter syndrome all the time. I've been in lending 14 years, and you have these armchair experts that have actually never done it, or they think it should be a certain way, and they're always the loudest, right? Like, does that ever come across your desk?
I mean, brother, this is something that I deal with every single day, because like we talk about these other social media channels, and yeah, when I first started going out and speaking, I was like, who am I to talk about this? I was like, I've been developing products for, at that time, 10 years. I was like, yeah, like, who am I to talk about this? And then I realized like there isn't a single other startup mentor in the whole region that's developed more than one product. So I was like, oh, okay, this is pretty good. And then it took those wins. But when you go online, like everybody looks like an expert, and there's these people have amazing social profiles. And yeah, I mean, I constantly think like, why should I be on the same stage as this person? Or what, like, will this person want to be on my podcast or that? And then I talked to him, I realized like, okay, I know what I'm talking about. Like that, I mean, that's the thing, right? Like, yeah, because I'm not like famous. That's the thing.
Yeah.
Other people, they're internet famous or inside that personal development or entrepreneur world niche. They're like the most famous person in the world, right?
Yep. It's great. And sometimes the quote unquote industry leaders, right, just got viral out of nowhere.
Yeah.
And when you actually hear them and see what they're doing, you're like, all right, this is so fucking basic, and it doesn't even scratch the surface of how you should do it. And I would not recommend this to anybody.
Yeah.
Deal with the same. I think every industry has a couple of those. There's no way around it.
Yeah. I mean, I'm not a huge Grant Cardone fan, but the one thing that he said that always resonates with me is that he's talking about ideas. So like we live in a market of ideas, right? And he's like, the best ideas fail every day in the market, right? It's not who, it's not about the product. It's about who knows about the product, who knows you, right? And then he has like lots of different clever ways of talking about it. But like out of everything that he's ever said, like plus or minus, that always hits me because I've seen it over and over again is, I've developed amazing products that sold nothing, right?
Yeah.
For people.
Mhm.
And that's what really pushed me into coaching is I was sick of seeing people mortgage their house, borrow huge amounts of money, spend their kids' college fund, like literally sell their car, and then have a bunch of products sitting in their basement gathering dust because they were like, they didn't conceive of how to sell it until they had it. They were like, how would I sell an idea unless I have the product? And I'm like, well, if that's the problem, I'm going to spend the next 5 years figuring out how to tell people how to do this. And I think that's why I have all the content that I have, because it's fundamentally not true, right? I mean, Boeing doesn't build a fighter jet and then ask the US government if they'd like to fly somewhere, right? Have you heard of flight? It's really cool. It's like running, but in the air really fast. Let me show you how it works. It's like hell no. You put it together and you sell the idea, and then somebody else is willing to like fund your whole business.
Yeah.
It might be a bank, but it might be a customer. It might be Jonathan Fedora, right?
It might be.
Yeah.
What's man, there's so many different places we could take this, but I want to go back to your side hustles.
Yeah.
Right. At what stage in that did you either say, hey, this is not the highest and best use of my time? Because I to this day, I think you described that perfectly, right? And better than anyone else. And to go back to that, idea thing real quick, ideas are worthless. It's all about execution. You could have the best ideas in the world. You can't execute on it, means nothing. That means having the marketing, the distribution, all that shit.
I'll go to the next level, man. Ideas are the number one obstacle in front of people's success because they fall in love with their idea. They can't let it go. And success is right on the other side of not compromise, but shifting it, right? Pivoting it, changing it, getting over yourself, right? It's just right over that little hump. And that idea, they can't see beyond that hump because that idea is, I've seen that anybody who thinks that they're an inventor or, wants to self-identify as that, like that is just, I talk to people and they've been developing the same idea for 4 years. I'm like, that's like a project. I do a project like that every month and I have for 15 years. Like, so you got to move faster, brother. Like, come on, let's
Well, I think people also need to kind of understand the lines between, hey, side hustle, still got my job.
Yeah.
Still earning a comfortable living while I'm building this. They need to understand when to pull the plug from the job to focus solely on the side hustle. And a lot of people get side hustle confused with investments, right?
Yeah.
So like I just invested in Aaron's PFIT franchise. I invested in Everbowl.
Yeah.
Like Everbowl, I literally do nothing. Wrote the check, sit back, is what it is. PFIT, I'm helping a management team and I'm helping them grow into those roles.
Nice.
But it's not taking away from my lending business. People don't understand and don't draw the line. Same thing with real estate. Real estate is just something I do on the side to build wealth, right? And to set something up for my kids. But it's not what I do 9 to 5. It's not what I do 9 to 6. And I don't put out there, hey, I'm the best real estate investor ever, right? So talk to us a little bit about, I'm not, right? I pick a couple good properties, run with it, and I'm patient.
Yeah.
Talk to us a little bit about those lines as you see them, from when do you make that cut over, when do you know your side hustle should be your main hustle, should it remain a side hustle, or do you axe it, right? Because we've all had a side hustle we axe.
Yeah, I just posted like a little clip about this on my Instagram because for me, the primary purpose of a side hustle, yes, you can make extra money, right? That's for sure. But everybody that pursues a side hustle, they have a dream, right? They have something that's out in the horizon. And I help people build milestones to go from that ideal state back to the current state, right? Future state to current state. But our side hustle, it's got to be making you money so you can quit your job and start that thing. And my high preference initially is, or you should be building a skill, right? So if you're doing something, you're going home and you're spending 2 hours building websites, but you could build a website in your sleep, it's not a side hustle. To me, it's not a side hustle. The reason that you're doing that is because you probably are terrible at managing people. So you haven't outsourced that work. You know it so well, you could write an SOP for it and you could have a child do it, but you hate talking to people, right? And so you won't go on Upwork and you won't develop those contacts to outsource it. The point of growth in that side hustle that will help it turn into a business that will help you make a little bit of money. Maybe you'll pull back a little bit on that money initially, is doing the thing that's going to make you uncomfortable. That's going to be to help you grow, right? So that might not be you picking a skill that you think is a hard skill. It might be picking a soft skill, which you'll need for business. But I think that if you're not learning with your side hustle, you're never going to get to be able to quit your job. I don't care if there's people say these dumb things like, oh, if you save 3 months or 6 months or 12 months in the bank, then you can quit and start your business. And I'm like, absolutely not. Absolutely not. Because all you'll do is you'll have acquired more money and you'll have more money to waste. Yep. Right. And money ruins entrepreneurs. It doesn't make entrepreneurs. Entrepreneurs make money, right? If you have a bunch of money to blow and you think, oh, now I have a 6-month runway. I want you to have like a 6-minute runway, right? Where you're like, I have the money. I know exactly what I'm going to do. I'm going to quit this job. I'm getting in my car and I'm going to go make more money than I make right here. Not in 6 months, I'll start being cash flow positive. I've very rarely seen it work with startups. I've never seen it work with side hustles turning into businesses, right? But I've seen it where people have $0 in the bank, they get laid off, and then they create a 7-figure business because they've been acquiring knowledge between that, 5 to 10 every day. They've been putting in those reps. So that's my biggest thing is, yeah, it's nice to have a financial cushion, but you should have a knowledge cushion and you should be chasing that thing that makes you uncomfortable all the time.
100%. Let me ask you, how much do you read?
Pretty good amount.
Yeah. It's, are you a morning reader or a night reader?
Yeah, I prefer the night reading, but honestly, with my schedule right now, I read at night. I just like fall asleep. So.
Okay. Yeah. I have to read at night. That's how I turn off. Believe it or not. Have to. Otherwise, it's over.
I'm weird about it. I think that if you read that really important piece and you fall asleep, then it's the best time to embed those new ideas in your brain. I think that your subconscious mind is a really powerful, it's a really powerful calculation system, right? So if you give yourself a positive problem to work on, like you can literally come up with ideas and solve problems in your sleep, especially if you cue it up with the right information, the right mode of thought. So you're not thinking about your sandwich for tomorrow. You're thinking about how to be successful, right?
Oh man, I haven't had a sandwich in ages. Just finished 75 hard. I have no desire.
There you go.
Yeah. Yeah, I definitely read a lot at night, and I mix it up. Like, I know it helps me if I know I want to go and put a ton of video content out there, right? That's what I'm focusing on now. YouTube. A lot of people don't know YouTube's the second largest search engine in the world.
Absolutely.
It's powerful.
Yep.
I haven't figured out how to get the subscribers yet. I got to finish that book, but I know it does take time. It's not something you turn on and it's there overnight.
Yeah, it lives forever too. So that's the thing. Is like I put less effort into my YouTube because I had to focus some channels and kind of build my team. I've got a great media guy, but it's like, hey, let's really hit Instagram. Let's really hit Facebook. Let's look at what we can do that we can replicate. But YouTube is a little bit higher level of effort because the competition, it's a mature marketplace of content, and it's solely content, right? So, but the advantage is it lives forever and it is a search engine. So there's a lot of search engine optimization you can do, but I mean, it It is the business. It's also really nice when somebody asks you a question, you can just send them to a playlist of the answers. So that's your FAQ is all videos.
I've done that. I have done that before.
Yeah.
What is one of the products that you are most proud of?
That is pretty good. So I mean, I have my things and I know that nobody's going to really find them that interesting, at least the things that actually make me money. This is again, like our conversation. So like everybody knows me for making really expensive EDC products and making the $700 fidget spinner. Like that's like, I get weird emails to this day, 4 years later about that project. And the whole run up to that, I'm really proud of doing because we did it as a project to show people you can make a simple product. And this kind of leads into what I'm doing right now. Make a simple product, launch it very quickly, get pre-sales. So we did a 6-figure launch on a fidget spinner and created a huge groundswell of media for it. And that was good. I mean, it was really good. We built a great community around those products and launched a few for that company, which I sold to my partner because it was really not that it was a full distraction, but it's like, it's not really actually how I make money. Right. So it's, but I don't know, I'm really proud of our cybersecurity products that I make day to day. I mean, it's a pretty boring thing, but I'm a subject matter expert in RF shielding. Right. So if you have concerns about 5G, I'm probably anybody that's listening to this, I'm probably the only person that you'll hear talk about. Like I actually know how to do that. And I do it for all those little nice little organizations that you know of. I'm the guy that designs the special box so those signals don't leak out or hurt people. So
okay, so you're gonna have to run that back and so you make boxes to protect people from 5G rays?
So what I'm a subject matter expert in is it's like every piece of electronics, it emanates radio frequencies, right? Okay. And like I can use that I can watch what's on your monitor from the room next door, right? I can listen to the keystrokes on your keyboard from the room next door. And if I have really nice equipment, I can do it from farther away, right? And so
I'm petrified right now.
Okay, well, so the right people, they don't need to guess your password. They don't like break into the network because that's like the hardest thing to do. So these emanations that come off electronics, they can interfere with each other, but they can also be a cybersecurity risk. So we've identified a number of, they're very niche markets. You can imagine like who cares about this kind of stuff, right? And my family's business, so K-Form, we've been selling those products since the early 80s, and I redeveloped them about 14 years ago. And then again, let's see what time flies, man. Like 5 years ago. So we have the world's best version of that for servers and then for mobile devices. So you can put a bunch of mobile devices inside, populate it, put Wi-Fi inside so all the devices can communicate with each other. And there's a very large company, very large search company that has hundreds and hundreds of my product in a room. Each one has hundreds and hundreds of devices in it. So there's like really, this is why I tell everybody about niche products, right? Is a normal server rack is $800, maybe $600, maybe a really fancy one's $1,200. The cheapest that we sell any of ours at volume is $12,000, right? Because it's not really a server rack. It serves this really, it solves a multi-million-dollar problem, or in the case of cybersecurity, an infinite cost problem, like a multi-billion-dollar problem for only $20,000.
Got it.
So that, yeah, but that's my product core expertise is in electronics packaging. So I make fancy boxes. So all those tan and green and black boxes on the back of Humvees or in helicopters and stuff. I'm the guy that designs those things so you can drop that computer off of like a mountain and it roll down and then you just pick it up and it works. So
Damn.
it's not, it's not something that you pop up on your website, but it puts me in the right place to design really, really cool stuff that like you probably wouldn't see as a consumer for years, and work with interesting technology and interesting groups of people. So on the mechanical side, we just make fancy boxes, and that's led me to develop, like I said, all kinds of crazy stuff because,
That's awesome.
Like electronics packaging, it's not just like a, what your desktop computer is in. It's like, head mounted stuff, it's man pack stuff, it's drones. Like we've done anything that you would think that electronics go in. Like I've made a version of that can withstand some absurd problem, right?
Okay.
Yeah.
So let me get this straight.
Yeah.
If you were somebody that is very tech savvy, is in the room next door, and I log into my bank on my phone, you could tell me what my password is if you had the right equipment.
So now the cell intercept thing is a whole nother can of worms. Right?
Okay.
But I can show you the products that would that even police departments have that kind of let you do that too. But that's that's a different story. There's different cyber hacks for that, with like spoofing out your cell towers. So like I actually own the cell tower outside of your building. You think it's Verizon's, but it's really Callye's acting as Verizon's, and I just take all the data. And so it's called a man in the middle attack. If you ever go to China, don't turn your phone on when you get out of the airport, because there's like literally a government tower right there that does a man in the middle attack if you land.
That is horrific. How do we avoid this stuff for just not now? This went from like podcast and now I'm really concerned.
Well,
deeply.
You're talking about like, for me, I think like I'm not a very important person, right? Mm-hmm. So most likely nobody is going to be using those levels of attacks on me. Like I'm not, a billionaire Colombian drug dealer. I'm not like a terrorist. So I'm fine. But like, in general, the old school keyboard hack you could honestly do it for $200 worth of stuff. If Radio Shack was still in business, you could go to Radio Shack and get the equipment and do it and do that. But like, your phone, probably not. You're probably good. But,
got it. Okay.
That's kind of a left turn, but if you want to get into like your products I develop, that's like what I do day in and day out for for industry and just different flavors of that. But like, that's what's given me the experience to work with so many people. And then like, I mean, to be honest, like I just got somebody I know's book, and I helped her make a little product that goes with the book. And I get like crazy pumped up to see my clients or just my friends make products. So like I've got Brian's hat on right now. So like if you make a product, I probably buy it, because I just think that's like the coolest thing in the world, is to know people that make stuff, right? And I've got like another friend's product right here on my desk in front of me. And so I just like to see a startup that I'm working with, like The Most Curls, like we're developing her product, and see her get funding and like get that to market. That honestly, like I'm kind of dead to the other thing, because that's like what I've done forever. Yeah. But to see like their projects go, it just gets me like really pumped up. So.
That's awesome. So what is typically the ways that you get these projects funded? Like go through like the top 3 to 5 ways for anyone that's listening that wants to build a product. Like what do those ways entail?
All right. We get to the meat now. Yeah. This is the question of questions. It's the king of questions. And I have some answers that nobody else will give you.
Okay, cool.
So this is good. But like, first we get out of the way, this is like, everybody thinks they're going to come up with an idea, and then the venture capital fairy is going to come down and they'll say, you know what, Jonathan, you're right. You're the shit. You're the smartest man in the world. No one's ever thought of something this good. We're back. That's it. It's
Yeah.
over. Deal's done. You want it with an M or you want it with a B? Because I'm spending money today, you know?
That's funny.
And it just doesn't work like that, right? So when I went out and I started talking to people, this was like their perception, but the reality is that most acquisitions and most partnerships, they come from somebody you already work with. This is the craziest part. So like we really push collaborations where we start working with a bigger brand and do something with them, because it is like statistically the biggest source of funding, and it's the biggest source of acquisition. So like there's a number of ways that we do it, but like the most curls, Dawn, she has used this to get this. Okay, partner with Sephora, Glossier, now Procter and Gamble, and there's a fourth really large partner. It's one of the biggest companies on earth, and we can't mention it right now. But the way is,
well, P&G is a tiny company, so
the other company is bigger, but and then
that's crazy.
And then she was on Mark Laurie's podcast. So the the Jet.com, Walmart, e-commerce guy. So they'll just give you a perspective of where that's going. It's like, well, how do you get a product that doesn't exist, right? To be partially funded by all those organizations, to win a bunch of awards. She's been in like multiple entrepreneur magazines, and like, how do you get partnered with those big companies, and how do you do that? So here's the answer that you're not going to hear really any other place, right? And we've developed a whole strategy around this. It's called traction products. And the reason is it's like going back to what you were saying before, is ideas are worthless because you don't have a business engine to drop that idea in and transform it into actual money,
Yes.
right? All you have is you have potential energy. You don't have actual like kinetic energy. You don't have actual cash, right? So our job as entrepreneurs is to develop a system. I like to think of it as a black box, and like market opportunities or customer demand or whatever you want to think of it comes in and money comes out, right? Or impact comes out. However you want, like whatever your goal is, that's coming out. So like, what does that black box look like? And for product businesses, it's hard because most people don't have a manufacturing background. They don't understand a lot of the cash outlay issues with like inventorying and how that's tied into supply chain. So like the longer it takes to get something, the more inventory you have to have on hand. So like there's lots of problems with that. They don't understand the quality issues. So it's like, how do you operationalize a business, but when you can't afford to prototype your big idea?
Yeah.
Okay.
Molds aren't cheap.
Yeah. So like, generally if I work on a reasonable project, I mean, I'll be flat out like it could easily be $200,000-$400,000 to go from clean sheet of paper to the first run of that product that somebody wants, right? So that would be like a normal project for me and it might take 2 years as well. So it's like, does a normal person want to do that? There's a certain kind of person that's like, hell yeah, let's do this. And the more they know, the faster we can go. So we might be able to take that 24 months and turn it into 12 months. We might be able to take that $400,000 and reduce it down to $200,000, but it's still pretty expensive. Normal people don't have that. So with traction products, what we do is we focus on building a community first. So if you look at my little messy charts over here, but if we look at building an actual iconic brand, something that's worth doing, we do that thing for people that we actually care about, so we can achieve something in our life that we actually want. So people build businesses that they hate for people they don't care about that sells garbage. That's the problem. They're like, I have $1 million. Why am I unfulfilled? I'm like, because you hate everything about your life, right? The money doesn't change that you hate everything.
What's the cooler brand? Because that's exactly what you did. Like, that's exactly what you're talking about. And I can't think of the name right now.
What you talking about?
They don't even advertise the product. They just advertise the outdoor adventure. Well, yes, Yeti.
Yeah. So this is
perfect example.
It's a good example. It's like because you open it up to the change and the feeling that it gives people, you can just make product after product. And as long as it fits that brand narrative, we aren't stuck as the cooler company. We're stuck as Yeti, the outdoor company that sells everything for 3 times the price, but it's sold out anyways. So who cares, right?
Yep.
And so we learned this in the everyday carry market, and then I saw it in the collector market, then I saw it in the sneaker market, and I saw it in the art market. And I was like, man, why aren't all these inventor entrepreneurs or engineer entrepreneurs figuring out how the market dynamics actually function? So like if we start building a narrative around transforming people's lives and helping them achieve their goals, we can achieve our goals. It's really simple. It's an ethical way of running a company, but it's the way that every iconic brand works, from Nike to Whole Foods to Yeti to Glock, right? You think about it, like they don't sell the thing, they sell the thing that facilitates what you actually want. Safety, connection, significance, right? All those deep rooted things. So like we have that inform our decisions, but when you know that this, so I'm trying to do this as fast at people as possible. But when we know what our customer wants, we look at that, what that change of state is from state A to state B, we realize like our product or idea is just like a blip on the map. And there's all these other obstacles that people have. And there's all these amazing products, and there's coaches and there's services that also help that change. Those are the people that we're going to want to collaborate with. Those are the people that we're going to want to connect with. Those are the people that once we ethically are helping people and we get going, they're going to help us get there faster, get where we want to go faster. But once we know that, dude, Traction Products is like this. Super high level overview. The first thing that we do is we sell other people's product. So we build a list, and we're talking content. We were talking content earlier. I literally say like, hey, Ryan Stewman has this amazing offer out. And the reason that I do it is because it's valuable to present that to my people. I look like an authority because I'm curating what's good and helping them on the mission. But also it gives me a chance to connect with people that I actually respect. And you'd be surprised how often that one of those people reaches out and just says, hey, thanks, bud. Or like, hey, I see what you're doing. I'd love to get on your show. Or, hey, I see that you're putting out a lot of content and you have that like white paper, or you have that lead magnet that you've made. I'd love to co-sign on that for you. So we're able to build a relationship with people that matter to us and to our community for free, right? So OPP, other people's product, right? Second thing, small investment, no ownership, white labeling, right? If you know exactly what people want, there's versions of that product that already exist that you can get and you can present. And you don't have to even present it in a like, we're not talking about scamming people with drop shipping or selling cheap garbage. You can white label things in the US. If you've ever been to Home Depot, right? HDX, come on, man. That's all white label, private label products, right?
Yeah.
Kirkland, you saying Kirkland's junk? Come on, man. Those Kirkland jeans, you know what I'm saying is like, if you position it as well, like this can give you something to sell. It can provide value, but here's the important part is that it teaches you how to write that email. It teaches you how to fulfill a product. It puts money in the bank, right? It keeps people so you're top of mind. Like it does something for you. And then we can go on to private label where we customize the look of it, the color of it, the label of it. But there's a little bit more money involved, right?
Mm-hmm.
But we have the money because we've done the white label thing. We have the audience to do the white label thing because we did OPP. We built content, right? So you do the private label thing, you can have a product made and customized for you, your brand colors, the way that you want it, the box that you want it. And this teaches you how to fulfill product, how to handle customer returns, how to handle suppliers. And since it's not a custom product, your quality issues and your supplier issues are like pretty manageable, but the process looks pretty similar, right? So what we're doing is like building operational capacity and knowledge of how to run a badass company, but basically for positive money, not negative money, right? And this sounds so stupid, but Jonathan, this has taken me 5 or 6 years to convince people and learn the language of convincing people that this idea isn't dumb, that they
Well,
should.
because it's not their idea, right?
But
But you,
this strategy's made people millions of dollars instead of wishing that they could pursue their $1 million idea.
I get
But
it. It's a perfect blueprint.
yeah, and then when you start doing the private label stuff, this is when clients of mine start like winning those pitch contests, right? They start getting into magazines, and they start kind of showing people what their real idea is, and start releasing content and drawing people in. Like, hey, now we're not selling a product, we're selling a movement, right? Because we've already created motion in the market, and now we're fulfilling demand because we live in a world with an abundance of supply, right? There's too much of everything. So we're in the business really of creating demand and then connecting demand with our solution. So like this actually, you can do this within 1 calendar year, and you can be running this as a side hustle into the 6 figures. And then in that second year, you would then be engaging somebody to do like a more aggressive private label program, a custom product, but you'd have money.
Mhm.
You know, at that point, like if I came to you, Jonathan, I was like, well, I've sold $336,000 worth of stuff. I have 12,000 people on my email list, and I have about half of those people, they've signed up for the pre-order and they've all put $50 down, but I need to borrow the other 400K to do this. Like, that sounds super credible.
Yep.
And that's how people actually get money. The
Yeah.
majority of people just get loans, right? This
Yep.
is like what's mind blowing. Once you execute that, though, if you want to go the venture route and you want to talk to an investor, they know that you have a real business, you have customers, you know how to execute on it, and that you're good with money, which has probably forced you to develop a team, because we can talk about team dynamics as well and how that plays. But then when you go to an investor and say, hey, I'd like to scale this thing up, I want to go really fast. That's the only reason to get an investor anyway. So I want to go faster. So I can't hold the inventory. I can get my costs down, but I need $3 million. And they look at it and say, this guy's already sold $1 million worth of product this year. I'm going to bet on this guy, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So
Proof of concept goes a
that's
long
the
way.
blueprint.
That's genius. I would bet on it every time. That's why I did the franchise.
Yeah.
Right. One of the things when I evaluate a business, is it the operator, right? Or is it the roadmap?
Yeah.
The roadmap makes sense and you don't need that operator. Guess what? It's an investable business. If that operator is everything, you might not want to invest, because if something happens to him, you're out of luck. So is your money.
That's true too. Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. I mean, you like having somebody, reputable and known like Aaron there, right? But if you're going to grow it, it's like, well, what does that system look like? What's the plan look like? And it's like, oh, you got both things. So it's a done deal, right?
Yep.
Yeah.
100%. 100%. So what are if somebody wanted to find you, connect with you, work with you, what does that look like? Like, where would they find you? Let's talk about that.
Well, not quite everywhere, but it's pretty close. So
You're getting there.
I'm getting there. But yeah, I have a unique name. So if you look up my name, you'll find me pretty easily. You can message me on pretty much any platform. I'm really pushing the podcast right now because we hit number 135 in the US for management the other week. So I'm trying to crack that 100. So the podcast, I give away like pretty much anything that you'd need to know without making it super specific to your situation. I give it away for free on one platform or the other, but a lot of it's on the podcast. So I'd say take a listen to that. If I don't sound like a crazy person here or on there, just DM me, right? And we'll get going. But in the past 6 months, I've created more programs so people like who are starting can work with me. Because otherwise, I'll be honest, like done for you or hiring me as a consultant, it's very cheap if you are where you are in your business. But if you're just starting, like, I'll be the first to tell you, like, because I know how to sell, but I'm not a great salesperson. I'll just be like, this isn't a good fit. But I've created a private community, and I'm putting new content in that every week. And
Talk about that. Like,
yeah.
what is your private community? Who's it for? Like, what's the end result that they're looking for?
Okay, so you'll have to bear with me for a second, because what I'm doing, and you'll see a lot of content around this, is it's called the Ultimate Launch Campaign. I'm taking from a clean sheet of paper. We're going to launch a product on Kickstarter, and I go live every week. Live on Clubhouse. I'm live on Zoom inside a Facebook group, and I'm live in our private community where I go through this. It's like this. It's like, here's what I worked on this week, and this is the work that I did. And I create a cheat sheet every week so you can do it too. And then if you're in the private community, I have an hour or an hour and a half long training on exactly going in deep of all that specific step. So I'm using that to grow a community, take people off Facebook, bring them in here. And I mean, you know how I feel about gurus. So like, for people that aren't listening, this is like my personal mission is to take these people down. And so to just watch the videos and the recordings is free. I found too many people that were selling these courses for like 2,500, 5,000, 10,000, 20,000 bucks. I was like, I know more than this person off the top of my head.
Yeah.
So I'm just going to do this fun project, which will get some attention. I'll work with really cool experts to draw them in. So we've got Samit, who he's done 43 million on Kickstarter. We have an Amazon specialist coming in. We've got some sales specialists. We'll have some marketing specialists come in, and they're just jamming with me. And we're going to launch a simple product into a saturated market and show you that you can do the same thing. So I'm not making a crazy, like, government level cybersecurity product. I'm going to make something that you're like, I've seen this before. Why did people buy it? Right. And yeah, so we're going live every week. It's every Wednesday, 5 p.m. Eastern. And that's just drawing people in. I think we've got 72 people in the private community now. And that's the easiest way to just start engaging me. Then I have a group coaching that I'm opening back up. When we were in Cancun, I kicked that off, and I did the first round of that. And now I'm going to do that again later in the month for people. And beyond that, that's when you're getting in the territory of, I want to make you enough money so you can go to the next thing. So if you do group coaching with me, like, I'm not much to hide. It's $1,000 a month, right? You get all of my information. You get a Q&A with me every week. So I answer any question that you have. The idea is that within 3 months, you make enough money that then you're like, I need to hire this guy to actually work with me. And that's like the whole concept of it. But I mean, otherwise, just reach out to me. I love answering people's questions. I answered a question about sourcing hoodies, answered question yesterday about a gym product or a mutual friend of ours. I don't know. It's pretty much, that's what my day looks like, is people messaging me and me answering their questions. So yeah, just reach out.
Now your private coaching group, let's get into that. And I want to be respectful of your time,
Yeah.
right? But the private coaching group, they work with you. You're giving them basically the blueprint and everything that they have to do to actually start building that company and get that traction.
Mm-hmm.
And then afterwards, they can hire you as a consultant if they want, correct?
Yeah. And they have access to my network anyways. So like, if they're like, I want to source something, this is my sourcing guy. You just use this guy. If you're at a certain volume, he'll do it for you. But otherwise, like, here's how you source a product. And if you're just doing a white label product, like, don't use my guy. He buys, he like literally buys over $1 million worth of stuff for me a year. So, and you don't want to use him, but if you want a custom product, use this guy. Or, hey, you want a marketer? I know a marketer. You want a business ops person? Here's a business ops person. You want a finance person? I get a finance person. That's kind of how that works. Is people get overwhelmed really easily, and they end up spending, I say like this, it's like, I have it written right here: massive investment, endless time, crushing overwhelm. That's the thing, is like, it looks like a lot, but when you break it down and you say, hey, let's start with our goals and our intent. Let's think about the type of business that we want to build. They're like, I want to run my idea. I'm like, I'm going to show you how we're going to go through this process, and your idea will automatically snap into place. And you'll be like, I can't believe that my idea fits into this perfect bucket. How did that work? I'm like, it's called doing this for a really long time. So I'll take your shower thought and figure out how to snap it into a place of meaning in your life.
That's
Right?
the best way to describe that ever. Shower thought.
Yeah, shower thought. So I tell people, like, Zeus hits you with a lightning bolt in the shower, electrocutes you, and you're ready to ruin your life, right? So like, I'm gonna take you, and we're gonna figure out where that lives in your life, and then we'll figure out how to grow it quickly. I'm a big fan of collaboration, so like, we do collaborative launches with people that aren't influencers but influential in your space, and that builds your credibility and generally builds your business faster. But that's what we do in the private coaching.
Okay.
And yeah, so a reasonable time frame for people is between 3 and 6 months of that. I mean, they could stick around forever if they want, but at that point you're probably running a business and you have more specific questions, or you've like just ascended to the gods, right? You're sitting with Zeus and you don't need me at all, and you're just off doing your own thing. So
yeah, but you're the type of person that doesn't do it for that. You're the type of person that if they don't get results, you don't want them. Like, who are you kidding?
Dude, you'd be surprised, like how you'd think that because I tried charging more, and I thought if I charge more, everybody's going to want to, they're going to really hit the bricks, right? They're going to do it. Because I've done free incubators before, and we had insane results for some people, but there's a flavor of person. It's like you or me, like you're going to get that information, you're going to do something with it.
80-20.
Yeah. And like, you're not going to spend all your nights for a couple months going to these meetings and then do nothing with it. But the majority of people, they will, right? They will. And like, so I thought, hey, I'm going to charge more money, and I got a better percentage of people, a better quality of people come in. But there's still, it's really interesting. There's people that like, they've never even opened it. And I email them. I'm like, let's get on a call. Let's do this thing. Literally, you have an idea, I can make anything. So like, whatever your idea is, let's roadmap out how to get that business off the ground, not just the product, but the business. And it's like dead silence. You know?
Dude, your mouth, the God's ears. I deal with the same thing. I got people to come in, kill it with me, never done lending before, may not even have a college degree. Then I have some really smart people that thought they could get rich quick, and they've never gone through the course or been on any training calls. It's maddening.
It's wild.
Yeah, I don't want their money.
Yeah.
I want the results.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, I want to add something to my collection of stuff that I have over here of like these cool winning products that have made it to the market. I'm like, I remember when we got in an argument about whether it should have this texture or should be this color. And like, we did this thing, and then the customers chose, and that made more of them sign up, and they got really interested. The customers fought over the colors, and we based it on the pre-orders that they took. And that's how we launched it. You know? So,
oh, you mean you actually tested something before manufacturing it to see which one was going to go? Oh my God.
We just opened up the bank account and funneled money to China, and we're surprised that we didn't get what we wanted.
Got it.
Strategy.
Got it. Well, brother, thank you so much, guys. If you are listening to this, you need to look him up. You need to follow him. And if you have any idea of manufacturing or building a physical product, you need to reach out to him. He's a genius. He is too humble to say it, but I'll fucking say it. All right. If you got value out of this episode, 1, follow him. 2, share this. All right. Thank you, and tune in to the next one. Thank you, Callye.
Creating success out of failure. Creating success out of failure.
Thanks for tuning in to Creating Success Out of Failure. Please share this with someone that needs to hear it, post it on social media, and leave us a 5-star review. I'll catch you on the next one.
Creating success out of failure.